Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Category 4 at the moment are absolutely nailing it just on this little bit of a rise. All these little rises, they're really deceptive. They don't look like anything on the course map, the course profile, because of the scale of the hills in the middle and at the end, but they're enough and they're great trigger points for when you want to put the pressure on. Because Unitica, the Race Club Finland, opens up the gap. Pierre Fell from France jumps on to his wheel. Can Fell keep him in check here? And as the rest of the pack start to scramble, you're starting to see a response coming. Osborne rips it up on the front again. It is a real active race here today in Category 1. I don't think Jason Osborne wants to let them sit down for more than 2 seconds. The moment we see a rise, Osborne is attacking out of the saddle, putting the pressure on.
Michael Vink now pushing on at the front. Jason Osborne straight back on. Line of Yasin is there as well as Stefan Van Elst. Ricardo Panizza in the mix as well. One rider attacks, then another goes over the top, and the pace is so high. It's not the place that you would expect. Graves has just gone to the front of that front group and come off of the power. Now the call goes from 2 of the riders in the lead. Come on, we need to work together. If we work together, we can stay clear. If we don't work together, they will pull us back in, because that is one strong bunch behind.
Oh, here he comes. He's just gone through those like a hot knife through butter. He sliced them to pieces, sliced and diced. They're out the back. Look at the speed of Fossier. I might be eating my words about him not taking the win at the top. He's clearly still got plenty of energy. Vaz here at the moment has set his stall out. He's got 10 seconds on Kittle. That's a big gap at the moment. What can Vaz do? Can he hold them off? Hey, that's the important question. Almost as important as can they hold off Category 5, who are coming at speed behind. The leaders in Category 1, well, they're at 36.1k. They're closing down on the Category 2 leaders, so 3, 4, 5 and 6 leaders. But the Category 5 leaders trying to get back to Osmar Vaz, as are the rest of Category 6. But at the moment, Osmar Vaz is on a mission. It's qualifier race number 3 of 4 qualifiers here on the Sunday Race Club on MyWhoosh in March, and Osmar Vaz is going to claim his first victory here on the Sunday Race Club. He takes the win. He goes underneath the UCI banner. Your race winner, Osmar Vaz.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. مشاهدينا الكرام، متابعينا في كل مكان، أهلا وسهلا بكم. وأيضا نشوف فرنسي وفنلندي في عملية هجوم في مقدمة السباق. تقدم الآن هنا فنلندي وفرنسي، محاولة أوروبية. هذه الفئة الثالثة، هذه الأسماء الجديدة التي دخلت على الساحة مشاهدينا. فيليب جريفز هنا في هذه الكوكبة. أوليفر سايمونز معروف هذا الدراج، دائما أهدافه واضحة، دائما ما يبحث عن المركز الأول. شوف عملية هجوم الآن، هذه عملية هجوم من هنري من أنشط الدراجين المشاركين من جنوب أفريقيا، ويعتبر هو صديق التطبيق. هذا صديق التطبيق، نعم. هنري يايس قوة أداء هنا أيضا لهذا الدراج المميز. هذا البلجيكي، هذا باور البلجيكي الآن كايل.
نشاهد الفئة الثانية، هذه الفئة الأقرب للفئة الأولى، ثاني أقوى الفئات. وهنا متسابق اس صاحب القميص المنقط في الأسبوع الماضي، ولديه القدرة في السبرنت. اليوم يعمل على هذا، على مستواه طبعا، ويرفع من مستواه وينافس على الترتيب العام، وينافس على صعود المرتفعات. الآن وصلنا إلى الكيلو 29 و200 متر. جون باك ينطلق في السبرنت، ولكن يأتي من الخلف ماريوس الآن، وبكل سهولة يخطفها. ماريوس الفارق كبير، أظن الفارق كبير بالمستوى بينه وبين جميع المتسابقين. أما هنا الفئة السادسة، أوسمار فاز يبتعد، وبعدما تقلص الفارق إلى 12 ثانية، ولكن يحافظ على الصدارة الآن. أوسمار فاز المتسابق البرازيلي، المركز الرابع في الأسبوع الماضي، يفوز الآن بالمركز الأول والقميص الأصفر، والاحتفالية الفوز لأوسمار فاز.
So hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's qualifier race number 4. It's our men's race. My name's Matt Payne. I will be joined in the studio by Emma Martin, who is currently covering the women's race, which is about to reach its crescendo, I think, as they come in group after group into the final climb. It's a really interesting course on the women's race. Do have a watch back. But first, let's cover the men's race. We're here in Colombia on the Alto del Aguila course. This is a course of 2 holes, or should that be? 95% of the course looks almost flat. It is almost flat. It's got a little bits of raises, little bits of bumps on the way through, potential trigger points, traditionally ridden very quickly. Over the 50.3k, the only climb comes at 44.9 kilometers, and that is the Alto de Aguila climb, 325 meters of ascent over 4.9 kilometers of the course covered, with the finish line coming of the course at 50.3k, 500 meters beyond the race. So that is basically beyond the race for the climb. So 500 meters beyond the race for the climb is the end of the finish line. And that finish line at 50.3k. 4 sprints along the way. So we have our sprint competitions, segments and overall. We have our climbs, segments and overall. And we've got all of that coming up for our riders on the way through. So they are going to need to have their sprint legs in for the first half of the race in. And then the last part, they need their climbing legs in. Generally, the riders who take the climb segments are the riders who take away the overall win on this course. And of course, 6 race categories taken to the start line. Category 6 in purple, 5 in blue, 4 in red. We have 3 in the dark blue, then we have 2 in green and 1 in yellow. As you can see, we've got a number of our riders up and away already. So on the right-hand side of your screen, we've got category 4. Left-hand side of your screen, we've got category 5. The category 4 riders, we've got some really strong riders in there. We'll jump to those in a minute. Well, let's run you through the riders who are away and racing at the moment. Category 6, BMC 6, so level 6 BMC squad, Abbott and Llewellyn. Level beginning with Brito and Ramos. The Los Amigos are the biggest squad here today. That's the Lenador, Kleps, Sebza, and the Rule 6 squad of Atruba, up against the Spinagy riders, Dodson and Yoka Bonus. Other key riders to watch out for here. Kittle, 2nd place in category 6 last time out. 3rd place in category 6, Brent Sensig, as well as the rider who was 4th, that's John Back, and 5th, Pablo de Manu. And they were the riders in the top 5 in category 6. In category 5, well, we have our teams. First of all, Get Racing's Mottmans, High Fives at Gibson and Botero, Level Ups Rooney, Pedersen and Warren. We've got Finland 5, the Reichel Finland 5, with Rasmaki, Kova and Siddle. Rule 5, Sikora and Rusinek. Upcycle Big Squad, 5 riders in there. Dromard, Lloyd, Tong Matari and Mayard. We've got the Waterov Venti squad of Castiglione and Levini. Osmar Vaz moves up of ZTBR into this category, as well as Maris Fossier, moving up from category 6 to category 5. 47 riders in category 5. In category 4, well, we've got a huge list of teams. BMC Racing with 4 riders: Quadrelli, Cadiz, Robinson, and Pino. Cadiz taking that climb prize last time out. The first, captained by Joseph Miller. He took the win last week in category 4. The Inner Fight squad with Martin Krawanos, going to be a sole rider up against Level Racing's 5 riders: Linda Bendner, along with Morgan, Olpert, Hagland, and Bradley. The On the Rivet Racing, well, 3 riders includes Arroyev, who took 2nd last time out, along with Pulgarin and Gonsolin. Watch out for Ride Club Finland, Puolaka, as well as Alalusa, could well be up in the mix. And the Salt Factory Team UAE, Pino, Castro and Lenador can never be discounted. Watch out for Giuliano as well. 45 riders in category 4. In category 3, well, you can see we've got the Anzac squad. That is Oviedo, Rodriguez, Bloom, Velas, and Brook. They have 5 riders up against 4 riders of WhatsApp. So that's Denis, Kowalski, Shaw, and Clays. Clays taking a top spot last week, taking away that win. The Anzac's best rider was Velas, who took 3rd last week. The Otero Alliance, Ace and Dummer, 2 riders, level golden. Rimborg, golden boy himself, up against Bakken, his teammate in level golden. And then we've got Sandstorm squad, that's Fenderich and Guerra. And watch out, though, for Karol Sladek. He was second last week. Marciek Skierski took the sprint competition, and Becker was going well. 5th overall and the climb prize overall in last week's race in Category 3. So, huge race field, 267 riders in totals. Category 6, 5, 4, and 3 are going to be our riders that are away, with Category 3 about to start. Category 2 and 1 still in the race pens. So Category 6 away, Category 5 away, Category 4 away, and now Category 3 away. 4 categories on the road now out of our 6 categories. And we're in with Skierski at the moment, the rider who took that sprint competition last week. Fastest through each segment gets you the top prize of the segment win, but it also gets you 5 points in the sprints competition. That's true of all of our race categories. Each of the race categories with the sprint competitions, the climbs competition, and the overall. Right hand side of your screen, you can see that we've got Category 6 of the furthest riders out on the course. They've already covered 10 kilometres nearly of today's 50-kilometre course. Category 5, well, at the moment, the pressure well and truly on here. Mark Tong ahead of Kevin Horsley and Yanni Leipen. Looks to me like the response coming, though, behind. They're not wanting to let Horsley and Tong go too far down the road. They are currently at 7.4k. The first sprint today, 11k. So all of this initial action, it's all about seeing if you can shake anybody loose from that bunch. Maybe get a breakaway moving. Mohammed Mukhtari moving up in to keep a check on what's going on. Good to see Russia and Rajay Teron as well, right up at the front of this group, really settling in to Category 5 at the moment. Other riders to watch out in Category 5. Mortek took the win last time around. Cirillo took second. Third was Sikora. Fourth was Tong. Fifth was Mortmans in Category 5. And then the riders in the light blue. So purple is Category 6, light blue Category 5, Category 4 in red, and Category 3 are in the dark blue on the bottom left-hand side. Let's jump in with Category 6, though. We're in with Cameron Dasson, one of our really experienced riders here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. For those of you that are new, and I know lots of you have watched week in, week out, and we do try to cover a little bit more detail for you, and some of the differences, as well as introducing anybody new to the screens and what's going on. 6 race categories underway, each category represented by a colour of jersey. The screen that you're seeing is the new user interface on the latest release of MyWhoosh, which is available on iOS, on Android, and on Windows, whatever you're going to use it on. The riders at the moment in Category 6 just going through the Santa Fe sprint. This is the first of our sprints, the first opportunity to take the fastest through the segment, the FTS time. And that then is rewarded. Fastest through the segment in each category gets a prize, as well as taking the maximum points in that competition. Those points are added together throughout the duration of the racing. 4 sprints today, 5 points per sprint, maximum points hold 20 points in total. Fastest rider through in Category 6, well, it is going to be Daniel Dotto, who takes the 5 points from Cameron Dasson with 4, Michael Kleps with 3, then it's going to be Hofpeter with 2, and Demanuan with 1 point. They're the top 5 riders. They'll be carrying those points forward into the next sprint. Our riders up and racing. The new interface shows you the rider that we're watching. That is Julio Arrego. You can see the blue bar in the center of the screen. You'll see the blue bar highlighted on the right-hand side of the screen. Right-hand side of the screen also shows you the riders immediately around him. So time gap, the watts per kilo that rider is doing, the distance that they've covered at the moment, these riders together. So very little time gaps. Pretty much doing a very similar power to weight ratio. That's the watts per kilo. And all of them at the same distance on the race course as you would expect. Above the bar on the right-hand side, you can see that we have the rider's position. Now, this is overall on the race route at the moment, including those in the pens. So the riders at the moment making the way up the top 10 riders on the race route at the moment in that Category 6 race field. So Category 6, the furthest riders down the road. Category 5, followed by 4, then 3. categories 2 and 1 in the pens. Just under 6 minutes to go to category 2 race start, just under 11 minutes to go to our category 1 race start, category 6, the base category, then 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1 as we move up through the performances. Riders moving up based on performance, not just about the top 5 positions, but also about their sprint power and about the power that they show across a range of different parameters out there. Now, all the riders having to complete a power passport. That is a way of verifying the rider's performances and what they look like. That is unique to the rider. Every rider having to do that, as well as having to input the weight and the height across all race categories. Verification across all 6 race categories. So category 3 need the same verification set up all the way through to make sure that they're riding. All the riders recording on dual power meters, so the power that they're producing measured not just by the smart bike or the smart turbo trainer that they're riding, but also by, it could be a set of power pedals or a power crank on there, and that then allows a second data recording. That's also used to check all the riders with a heart rate monitor on as well. And again, there are specific types of turbo trainers, of smart trainers, of smart bikes. Make sure if you want to come on and race, you know what the rules are. It's really easy. Go to mywhoosh.com, download the rule set. If you go to events, you then go to Sunday Race Club. You can find out about the race club in general, where the races are going. The format is really simple in the sense that you get across the finishing line. First, you win the biggest prize in each race category. Category 1 with the biggest prize fund. Category 6, the basic category with the basic prize fund. The riders qualify for our finals by riding 2 qualifiers, and this is qualifier 4 of 4 in March, because we are a 5 Sunday month. And then we have the finals in last Sunday, and that includes a team competition. These riders will all then pretty much be in teams. There's the occasional rider who doesn't make a team. However, that is when the teams are then coming together. The initial indications are that there's a lot of people have qualified, because we do have those 4 qualifying opportunities this month, and it's looking like we're going to have a strong final next week. At the moment, due to head into California, due to be following the same time schedule that we have observed so far throughout the month of March, a different time schedule throughout Ramadan, throughout March, and that means that both the women's and the men's races overlap. The standard time schedule means that they don't overlap, and that will be back with us once we go into April. So let's move in with our category 4 riders. Just in with one of our very regular riders, JD Abello, the rider that we're following at the moment. You can see in the top center of the screen, his watts at the moment 200 plus in green, because he's sitting in the draft. Green is good. When those numbers go black, well, you're back in the wind, you're back in the draft, and that means that you back out of the draft, sorry, into the wind. It means that you are going to be forcing your way through the air, and that makes life that little bit more difficult. It makes it tougher. You've got to expend more energy you can save for those key moments, whether that is a climb, a sprint, whether it's one of our rises. And you can see on the right hand side of your screen, it really is flat out at the moment at the 14.6k marker. This is one of the rises between the first and second sprint. It's not a huge climb, but it's definitely testing the riders at the moment as Dotto tries to get to our leading riders in category 6. The pressure well and truly on with those earlier race starters. So category 2, down in the blocks, big race field in category 2, 53 riders due to take to the start. Lots of different teams represented. The Abu Dhabi racing team have Ivan Nuki, great climber. Will he be able to put those climbing legs into effect at the end of today's racing? The CD racing team, Stephen Delahaut and Thiago Clement, will they be able to use team tactics to their advantage? 2 riders riding for the CD racing team. They don't have strength in terms of numbers, because the smartest teams have 5 riders. And that is Angus Bengston, Christoph Thiem, Josiah Betty, Moritz Ritter and Simon Walter, all strong riders, and all have featured very much at the front of the racing. The Hitman one, well, it should be the Hitman today, because it is tattoo coincident. Well, he be able to jump onto the wheels of the Smarties? We will have to see. The UAE Falcons, represented by Ahmed Al-Tanaji, as well as Zaid Hamdan. And of course, the UAE clan team are with us. Mr. X100, Pablo Popovic, and SS, who took second place last week. He's riding really strongly at the moment, cannot be discounted on this course, and look for that UAE clan team to really make the racing aggressive. In terms of riders who performed really well last week, riders that you don't need to watch out for, David Nitko and Vidar Met moving up into Category 1. Watch out for Zach Nair, 5th place last time out. Olivier Simmons, this is a course that could really suit him. He took the sprint win last time out. And Khan Kayan has been riding very strongly, as has Bert Kayan, all the way through. We're in with Bert Kayan, the two brothers down and racing, one of a number of brothers of siblings out and racing. It's Category 2. It's our penultimate race category. It's time to get the riders in green. The green light. It's time to go head out onto the course. Today's course, total race distance, 50.3 kilometres. The bunch up and out from the pens. Then you want to make the way down and away from the pens. This section of road only used to get out and away from the pen to get to the course proper. We then do the loops and laps on the bottom of the course on the road. So if you want to get out onto this course, you can come and ride it. And you can join a lot of these riders. I've been riding in Colombia with a number of the riders, including, in fact, Mr. X100 is on our screens now in this course, on the Colombian course. The coffee trail around here is one of my favourites, not just because of my addiction to coffee, but also because it is a relatively flat course. It's a great one just to get into a rhythm and to ride on and to get those kilometres in on MyWhoosh. So in with Mr. X100, a rider who's ridden very, very strongly in at the inception of MyWhoosh, a rider who we know can perform. Good to have him back with us, not here last week. Up and racing, heading out and away from the pens. Category 2 away, just over a minute of racing in for them. Meanwhile, Category 6, the furthest riders down the race route. In with Julio Arrego. Nearly 17 kilometres covered. So approaching third of the race distance, and you can see the damage that has been done. 32 riders on the Category 6 start sheet. And at the moment, Arrego really pushing on. Sensing comes in, goes over the top of him. The rider who was third last week in that qualifier race number 3. Sensing looking good here from the United States, really ripping it up. And this is putting the pressure on. Arrego, DeManuel and back. Jacobonis, Toro, Llewellyn have to respond to this. They won't want to let Sensing go at this stage. Sensing looking good at the moment, well and truly into his pace at the moment at 17.5k. Will that be a little bit of a kick too early? Next sprint is coming up at 18.9 kilometres of racing, so only a K to recover for our Category 6 riders now that they have pretty much come back together again. One rider just off the back. They're on the right-hand side of your screen, on the left-hand side of your screen. Category 2, that big group, 53 riders down on our start sheets this morning. Here today, Sebastian Havo of France, one rider who definitely cannot be discounted. Matthias Van, he also the same on this kind of course. Phil Grace might not be tough enough for Grace. He likes it when the racing is really tough. And the course today might not suit him. James Krasnich cannot be discounted either. Pablo Popovic and SSSS on storming form, as we said earlier. They're in Category 2. One set of riders who cannot discount, the riders down in the start pen in Category 1. The top of the tree, we're in with Michael Vink at the moment. Vink, the rider who took victory last week, a rider who has been battling it out at the front of the Sunday Race Club for years, the former UAE team rider. Well, today, Michael Vink is riding for the Boss Moves Only squad. He's up against a number of teams. Leonard Chugels, a man who is on blisteringly quick form at the moment in Category 1. The Abus Esports rider, second last week, is riding a solo for the Abus team today. The Alpha Jaw squad, Daniel Churek, Lionel Vajassin, along with Mikhail Kaminsky and Ollie Jones, all racing for that Alpha Jaw squad. 5 4 riders in that squad. The Boss Moves Only squad, well, they have 4 riders, but what a set of riders. You've got Jason Osborne, the world champion, who took 3rd last week. Michael Nussen, who took the Climbers Prize last week. Michael Vink, who took the win last week. And Say Safrazedi, who took 4th last week. The Farm Watch squad, they'll be looking for a better week this week. Former world champion Bjorn Andreasen with Hayden Puckett, Johan Noren, and Mikael Plantero. We'll see if they can be up and mixing it. And in the teams, the rider who took 5th place, Marshall Wu, rode incredibly strongly. It's great to have him here. The Chinese rider really showing he's at home in this race field. Now Pedersen racing for the Wenger boys. Watch out for Jasper Paradines, who's been mopping up the sprints with aplomb on the way through. We've got a real mix of riders. 33 riders on the start list here today. The final race category, Category 1, hit the start line. They hit the pedals. They put the power down. It's time to go racing. The final wave away in the March qualifiers. It's the men's Category 1 riders. They've got the entire race fields off in front. Categories 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 all set off in front of these riders. The prizes are per category. That doesn't stop the Category 1 riders wanting to get those gaps down. But Category 1 riders have a busy schedule. March is one of the busiest times for an esports rider. And that means that these riders are going to have some accumulated fatigue. And whilst they might be professional and they might do everything they can to maximize their rest and recovery, well, that's our world champion, Jason Osborne, or one of our newer riders who've moved up into category. It's a tough time of year. It's a tough time when you're getting a lot of accumulated fatigue and you just cannot race everything flat out day after day after day at the levels that you need to take the win here. So it really has mixed things up in March. We are seeing some of the traditional battles, the Vink versus Osborne battle, but Leonard Tugels at the moment really peaking here in March, racing strongly. He could be the man to challenge today. And remember, today's course, it's flat until we get to about 45k. Any of those bumps are bumps. They're rises. They are not big climbs. The big climb at the end of today's race. So 6 categories on the road. Category 6, the first category away. They're the furthest down the road. They're at 20.5 kilometers. Category 1 leaders at the moment looks like Trzajanski and Kroll, the 2 Polish riders on the front of the race field for Category 1, really starting to stretch things out there. Well, they're only just covered a kilometre or so, so plenty of distance for them to catch up. In front of them, it's Category 2. And Category 2 at the moment, still this big pack riding together. Remember, the first key chance, the first opportunity to take away any prize money is in the Santa Fe Sprint. And that Santa Fe Sprint comes at 11.1 kilometers. So the riders in Category 2 only halfway to the first of those sprints, just coming in just over the top of one of the first real sort of more substantial rises, not just a little bit of a inclination upwards, but a more substantial rise. In the moment, Category 2, a bit further down, 5.3k covered to the 1.9k covered by Category 1. Category 1, that group pretty much all together. One rider just off the back at the moment. The world champion looking very attentive, sitting 6th wheel at the moment as Bruce Bird starts to wind it up on the front. One of our regular aggressive riders and one of esports real breakaway specialists on the front. Put the stretch on, but Cutler and Trzajanski have gone over the top. Marcin Trzajanski, a really interesting rider, very, very strong, very aggressive, very much into animating the racing here today. And every day when he comes on, he moved his way up through the categories, has moved up into Category 1. He's made his way there by getting the race results, and he's done that by being aggressive, by taking the race and taking the pace to the rest of the race field. And at the moment, Trzajanski up in the leading 3 riders, Bird, Kroll, Trzajanski really leading this out. Cutler, Kaminsky, Osborne in there now as well, as we see Bird puts another dig in, 7 watts per kilo as he pushed through. The same numbers being put down by the riders chasing Say Safrazedi, another of our regular chasers and riders who are looking to excel a little bit later on in the course, right up in the mix, chasing down. They're on the left of your screen. That's category 1, right-hand side of your screen. Krasnich, SS, along with Ritter at the moment on the front here, just ripping this along. They've got plenty of riders for company, though, in category 2. Can't see them on our screens, but they are just behind. So category 1 in yellow, category 2 in green, category 4 currently in the red, and category 6 in the purple on your screens. The 4 of the 6 race categories that are part of each and every Sunday Race Club, the Premier Racing on MyWhoosh on esports, with all of the riders categorized and verified with those power passports from categories 1 right the way down to category 6. It's not just the elites that are checked and verified, and it does mean if you want to jump on board, there's plenty of people to race, and you know that you're going to be racing against real people putting in real performances, phenomenal performances like that of Bruce Bird, who again on the front here, stretching it out. Bjorn Andreasen looking to respond here as we make our way. Going to be a 90-degree right-hand turn coming up here. The riders don't need to steer around the corners if you're not an esports rider. Well, jump on board, grab yourself a bike, get out and ride, get on a training session, get on a riding session, but you don't need to steer your way around the course. The ability to lean in and out of the corners, put the brakes on, definitely not part of the skill set that are required. You can change gear on your bike and in the new version of MyWhoosh, virtually within the app as well, with the computer changing the gears as they go through. That digital gear change can be done. It does allow you to ride with a single sprocket on the bike as well. Now, category 2, this big bunch just at the back of the bunch here, Mr. X100 holding the back, and you can see a number of riders off the back, 2 riders off the back. It looks like Parnell Hansen and Delutz at the moment off the back. Parnell Hansen 2.5 minutes down, Delutz 6 seconds at the moment. That is going to be a very difficult ask, though. The more riders that you have in the bunch, the more draft that is available, the more time you can spend recovering. That means that you can put a higher effort in on the front. That constant churn, that constant roll around of the group means that there's always somebody fresh to come to the front to do the chasing or to put the pressure on. Category 2 at the moment rolling very quickly indeed. Category 1, Tim Cutler, another of the really aggressive, really one of those riders who animates the racing onto the front of Category 1 on the left-hand side of your screen. Knudsen responding quickly just on the right with that yellow wheels on the bike. Cutler at the moment, still plenty of distance to get to the first sprint. Category 4, well, at the moment that group is starting to break up. Burma just being distanced a little bit by the main group. Category 6 at the moment. Brett Sensing on the move again. He's got Ants in his bands. He's definitely feeling very animated today. Another big kick off the front here and looking to try and break clear. Hofbeck is answering here from Germany, and it looks like John Backer, Vladimir Toro, Truba, Milano, York. A bonus at the moment. It's 3 seconds to the main group. Sensing and Hofbecker would need to work together. They're at 24 kilometers in. There is no sprints at the moment. The next sprints for them, they've completed sprint 1 and 2, the Santa Fe sprint and the Coffee Plantation sprint. Their next sprint, well, that is the Wax Palm sprint at 35 kilometers. That's right-hand side of your screen. Left-hand side of your screen, category 1, the other end of the spectrum. And Jason Osborne, world champion, who took that win in Abu Dhabi in those in-person finals in October in 2024 on the front at the moment. Just maybe saying to everybody, look, I'm here. We've got a long way to get to the finish. We don't need to burn ourselves out too soon. I'm not sure that's in the vocabulary of Mr. X100, a rider who is regularly on the front, on the attack with the UAE clan team. So category 1, left-hand side of your screen. Category 2, right-hand side of your screen. Another move going on the left. This time it's Michael Vink, 8.5 watts per kilos from Vink at the moment. So that is an attack. That's not just a squeeze off the front. He kicks again here. And Vink looking to break this up early in this race. They're approaching the 7K marker in category 1 on the left-hand side of your screen. Michael Vink winding it up. Osborne, his teammate, but As often as not, the man he's battling for that race win answers the move there. And they are currently at the 7 kilometre marker. Category 2, not too far away from the first of our sprints. They're the riders in green. In category 4 and 6, the riders 3rd and 4th from the left. So Boo Amur and Christian Hofbeck, the riders that we are following in each of those categories. And of course, category 3 and category 5 out on race route at the moment. Let's round you up a few of our sprint categories so far who have gone through our first sprint. That's the Santa Fe sprint. Category 3, that sprint being taken by Didic from Skierski, then Dummer, Becker, and Andrade. They are the riders who went through in category 3. In category 4, it was going to be Pino, who took that from Julie Arnaud. They're the first 2 riders, then Kriwanos, being followed by Miller and then Hagland. Category 3, I think we've got Didic from Skierski from Dummer. So categories 5, Fossied back on the sprint legs once again, even though he's moved up into category 5. Fossied from Morte, from Cirillo, Lasno and Song. And our category 6 riders, that first sprint taken by Dotto, as we saw earlier on, from Dadson, then Kleps, Hopner, and Manuan. Those were the initial sprint segment winners and leaders on the way through. As category 1 continue this aggressive racing, we're in with Marshall Wu, who really has made his presence felt. A continual ascent up through the ranks of category 1 from arriving up into the top 5, up into that prize money last week, and a great performance from him. Good to see Wu so active as we hit the Santa Fe sprint number 1. And this is the sprint for this segment, fastest through the segment. Category 2 go through. And as they go in and through, Van Urk, the first rider through. He's got the green jersey at the moment, but you can see it's just moved across to Wozniak. And that is because Wozniak started off later behind him. He wasn't the first in and through the sprint, but he was the fastest through the segment. His time 11.8 seconds, and that puts him a 10th of a second, almost exactly 10th of a second, and 1,000th of a second clear of second place. The points making the way down. We're a fair way from the sprint at the moment. Michael Vink in category 1 at the moment. Definitely looking to stretch people's legs, really make this a tough day. The moment it settles down, Vink's on the front again, kicks on down. Osborne's following him. Kaminsky quickly onto the wheels here. Kaminsky is looking good at the moment. He rode really strongly last week and maybe didn't get the rewards that we maybe would have expected from such a strong performance. But category 1, very, very strong last week. Vink pulled back. As you can see, the riders in category 1 currently at 9.6 kilometers, just approaching the 10K marker. So category 1, just going over the bridge, the world champion Jason Osborne, twice world champion, a rider who'll be looking to defend the iconic rainbow bands when we go back to Abu Dhabi in November of 2025, 15th of November, to the new venue. Near the Yas Marina. I'm going to be really excited to go see that, and can't wait to get the new format of the World Championships. That's going to be happening in November, but we've got a lot of Sunday race clubs each and every single week of the year without fail. We're here, and myself, Matt Payne, are going to be joined very shortly by Emma Martin, who has just concluded a very exciting race. If the gesticulation that flew across the studio, she walked past the studio to make her way in here, grabbing a drink on the way, I hope, and maybe even a bit of food on the way through. No, apparently not. I've just got to shake her from outside this huge ear because you can hear what's being said there. So at the moment, we have got category 1 on the way through. Big group still in 1, in 2, in 3, in 4, in 5, and in 6. So we're just going to watch these riders through. At the moment, it's quite aggressive, but at the moment, nobody making too much stick. The groups, this is really an attritional race at the moment with the speed and pace and the advantage to be gained in the draft. Key, don't lose the draft. If you lose the draft, you're going to be in trouble. So Jason Osborne comes in to the sprint at the moment in the lead of the group. He's not going to stay there all the way through. Just seen a big sprint coming from behind here. And I think Hayden Pucker, the man who is known as Farm Watts himself, is the man on the move here. Has he picked up the fastest time through the sprint? He's got the green skin suit at the moment. Watch out, though, for counter-attacks at this moment. This is one of the key chances when riders have tired legs. If you get a rider going for the sprint, they're putting everything into getting that segment, into taking those sprint points. It's a key moment when you can attack over the top, when you can really put the pressure on. And it looks to me like it has changed. They're just waiting for the update on the screen. And I think Vidal Mayer may well have snatched that away from Hayden Pucker on our screens. Just waiting for the updates to come in and through. As soon as they're in, we will let you know. Emma is here in the studio. Emma, I know you've got a screen lit up in front of you.
And I can tell you Vidal Mayer has taken 10th place overall in the Santa Fe sprint, giving him the fastest time so far in Category 1.
And that is why he's not showing at the top of our screens. And Category 2 rider, Marcin Marciak, is up there. Now, this is by Category 1 only. So this is the current scoreboard in terms of Category 1. 3 figures for everybody else. 4 for Vidal Mayer on the way through there. 1,081 watts, a 15 watts per kilo sprint from Vidal Mayer.
Can I just say
something
to you?
It's good to have you here in Category 1, buddy.
Rick Vanner at Category 2, 1,119 watts for that. But Jasper Paradians has just gone through and taken the skin suit off of Mayer, 1,172 watts over the 200-meter sprint. That's an average of 16.5 watts per kilo.
So the sprint has unfolded. It has changed hands multiple times, and now the counter-attack goes. Although it's no surprise to see Michael Vink on the front ripping it up. He has done this repeatedly. Will this be the time that he gets clear with the group that he likes? Osborne's coming across to try and join Knudsen and Vink on the front. Not sure it's going to make a trio of riders at the moment because of the amount of draft. It is really tricky to get on board. Emma, welcome to the studio, by the way. Bit of a baptism of fire straight into the action. It's great to have you join us in the Old Beer Cellar Studios. This is our last broadcast in the Old Beer Cellar Studios, which started live back in the heady days of lockdown and COVID back in 2020, this particular studio we're in. And it is indeed an Old Beer Cellar Studio. There's no beer. Rumours that we've drunk it all, which is why that we're going to move to a brand spanking new studio. It's totally unfounded.
I love the rumours that once circulated that there was just a hatch in the street, you know, like where the beer lorries used to turn up, lift the hatch and drop the beer into the cellar. And that's how we used to gain access to the Beer Cellar Studio.
That would be really, really cool.
Unfortunately,
it is not true about the Old Beer Cellar Studio, but it is an arched roof. It's a vaulted roof in a 1700s Old English pub. That is no longer a pub, before anybody says. And it has been home to the live commentary from myself, Matt Payne, and from Full Speed Defence, and from Emma Martin for covering a lot of World Championships. I haven't actually done the maths of how many World Championships and how many races we've covered.
My goodness.
And how many minutes down here in the Old Beer Cellar Studios. But I would like to say to the studio, thank you very much. It's been a nice place to be for the last 5 years. But it's time for a change, and we're going to be moving to a slightly different and probably a less character-filled studio.
Can I just ask a question? Has Michael Vink been on the attack the whole race so far?
Yeah, basically.
Excellent. Well, you know.
That's the summary of the race.
Can I just say, the Boss Moves Only squad, I've always wondered which one is the boss. Jason Osborne, Michael Knudsen, Michael Vink or Syed Safrazadi. I mean, those 4 riders, last week, Vink took first, Osborne took third, Safrazadi took fourth, and Knudsen took the climb competition overall. I'm not sure which one is the boss.
I'm not sure they know who's the boss. it's no problems working out who's the boss at the moment in Category 2 in terms of the team, because the UAE clan team boss, Mr. H100, on the move at the moment and just making his way ahead of that big pack that are chasing behind. So, Emma, we had Category 6, 5, 4 up and away, and those initial moves, although we didn't see them on screen, basically big groups heading out and away and keeping together. The first of the sprints not being until 10k.
Hold on a minute. That's not a sprint, and I've just seen Jason Osborne doing nearly 9 watts per kilo.
Yeah, that's not a sprint for these guys, and they have been sort of it's been jumpy, let's say, on the front of Category 1 rather than sustained. So it's been fluctuating up and down. I think at the moment, a lot of people are finding what their legs are doing. Category 6, furthest down the road, set off really early. First thing, they were the first of the riders away. Now, I've got to say, they've been quite active as well. Category 5, 4, 3, all these riders, I think, at the moment, trying to take the opportunities when they can, putting the pressure on when they're feeling good. But because we've got this climb at the very, very end, at 45k into this 50k race, I think there's a lot of riders just very aware that if they expend their energy now, they're going to be in trouble later.
Well, you are quite right, though, aren't you? Because have we talked about, or should I say, have you talked about the final climb yet?
No, I was letting you have the pleasure of that because I know, because I sneaked a peek at some of your notes today, that...
See, that teaches me for not being in the studio at the start of the show, doesn't it?
Teamwork makes the dream work, or something like that. You've got a whole heap of notes just on the last climb.
That's because I've had a look at the segment.
I know.
Properly.
Are you saying I didn't?
No, but I don't know whether you did take a look at the segment because I wasn't watching you whilst you did your research.
Well, no, that would have been difficult. We're in different buildings for a start. The answer is yes, I have, but I'm not going to steal your thunder. Knock yourself out, because I could sum it up in about 3 words.
Well, I'm going to use more than 3.
Go on then.
Because I'm a professor. We always use 10 words where 3 words will do.
You said that, not me.
I know. So at the 44.9 kilometre marker into this 50.3 kilometre race, the final climb does indeed start. And it's a steady state on the early slopes. It is a nice, gentle lull.
Really?
Into the final climb for the first couple of 100 metres. And then, well, bang, we go. We don't quite kick to the percentage gradients we saw in the finale of the women's race today. If you've not watched it, you need to watch the end of that race because the last 800 metres were over 10%. But this one, well, it is 4.9 kilometres long, the climb. The average gradient, 6%. But there are lots of kickers over 9%.
9% is enough, even if it's only a number of kickers rather than the entire gradient. And if you do want to watch that women's race back, do make sure that you jump onto the MyWhoosh YouTube channel and hit subscribe whilst you're there. As we've said, if you're watching the women's show earlier on, don't forget, of course, the Inside the Ride podcast is available on the YouTube channel as well as wherever you get your podcasts from. So do make sure that you do subscribe or have a watch back if you want to know what the latest updates are, if you want to know some of our stars, and of course, if you want to see all the latest changes. We're going to bring you a bit of detail, though, on our prize money. We've talked about this a lot, and it's nice to be able to put that into graphic form for you. So, all of the races, including qualifications, are individual races. And in the team classification, in the monthly final, we add the team competition. As you can see, 10 prizes in each of our categories for the individual classification. That is over the finishing line. We have the segments take away a prize for the fastest through the segment. So that is each climb segment and each sprint segment, as well as the overall in the sprint and the overall in the climbing. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed
they're in US dollars.
The prizes, not only are they in US dollars, we've just gone from category 6 to category 5, and the amount of US dollars have gone up because as we move from categories 6 to 5 to 4 to 3 to 1, all the way up to our elite riders, the prizes go up. So you can see at the moment, $30 per segment for the segment win in category 4, just shy of 500, in fact, $470 for taking the race win here today. When we move up from category 4 to 3, that moves up to $780 for the winner in category 3 today. Prizes right the way down to 10th. $40 for the segment, $80 for the overalls. Move up to category 2. You can see we now go into 4 figures, $1,310 for the individual win, 110 for the sprint winner and for the climbs winner overall. Each segment worth $50. But then we move up to the big bucks, quite literally up at the top in category 1. $2,170 for the winning category 1, 70 per segment, $135 for the sprint overall winner and the climbs overall winner. And next week, when the team competition comes into play, $9,520 for the winning team. 3 riders to count, 5 riders, a maximum number of riders per team.
$9,520, €8,752.
So we may resurrect Emma's Exchange yet. That was an informal, quick Emma's Exchange, a no-notice Emma's Exchange, which is when we tell you where in the world, what the equivalent is, because, of course, not everybody works in US dollars or in euros, so we will try and swap around and give you some indication what that is. You can see, basically, each of our 6 race categories, taking away prizes, 10 riders across the line, the first 10 riders across the line that are verified in each race category, taking those prizes, the sprints and the climbs with prizes up for grabs as well. So some of our riders targeting those. And next week in our monthly finals, we will be in California, if all goes to plan, in both our women's and our men's races. And that means that in California, whoever dreams big may well be the rider who is going to be taking away the big prizes along with their team. Will it be the UAE clan team of SS? He is on storming form. He is resurgent and back to his best after a period where he dipped back down and has come back and come back with a vengeance. His teammate, Mr. X100, can never be discounted. Interesting to see Phil Graves here. I did say at the start of the show, Emma, that this course might not be hard enough for Phil Graves. He likes a tough race.
Well, I think, he could be getting a tough race because of the pace on the pack. But you do have a point. But if he's in the mix at the end of that flat section, well, that nearly 45-kilometre flat section, there's plenty of climbing to go. But I think the Category 2 pack is going to be really big by the time we get to that base of the climb. I don't think we're going to see many of them whittled down. Let me give you some information on Category 2. Category 2 last week, it was Mare from SS, Nitko, Concairn and Nair. Simmons took the sprint, Power took the climb, but 20 seconds separated the top 16 riders, 8 seconds separated the top 10, and just 2 seconds separated the top 7 riders in the men's Category 2 race field. It is such a well-matched race field and is giving us such close racing. And on this type of course that we are seeing here today in Colombia, I think it is going to be another close race today.
It's such a short distance to separate the riders from the start of the climb to the end of the race. Remembering, of course, that 4.9k of climbing then is followed by more climbing to our race finish. The climb segment itself finishing some 500 meters before the end of the race. Now, going to just cut back across from Category 2 to Category 1. We're back in with the leading group in Category 1, and it looks like they are about to catch up to the big group just in front. They're going to see these riders coming in through. I think Josiah Bettins, Carradine are going to be some of our first riders to see the Category 1 chasers coming around those turns. Just taking a little bit of a look in here. That time gap at the moment is still about a minute away from Carradine to Osborne. One of our regular riders, Carradine, very strong rider at the moment. Maybe just a little bit of a dip in form. We know he's super strong. We know that he's a rider who can be right up in the mix. A lot of the riders, though, choosing to be careful about when they go absolutely flat out. And the when we have 4 qualifiers, the 4th qualifier, it's always, I think, the hardest to judge who is riding and who is really racing.
Oh, interesting. Well, I do think, the 4th qualifier does always give us some interest because the number of riders, should I just give you a little bit of a heads up? So today we have 267 men in total in this men's race field across the 6 race categories. Back in qualifier 1 in March, it was 297. So this is 30 riders lighter than we were at the beginning of the month.
So that is like for like. That is those riders that have entered onto the start sheets. We've got what is, I don't want to do the maths because my maths is rubbish, as everybody knows, but it's just over 10% basically drop from the start to
pretty much
from the start of the qualifiers to the end of the qualifiers.
And it was pretty much similar in the women's race field as well today. And we see that when there are 4 qualifiers in the month, because you need 2 verified rides to compete and qualify for the final each month on the Sunday Race Club. There are 4 opportunities well, some choosing to sit out some Sundays.
And if you're a rider who's not always in the top 10 or really fighting for the top 10, then, and maybe not in those prizes, you know that when you're in that team competition on the finals, that is the chance where you have that payday, because of course 7 teams taking away prizes in each of our race categories. Now, it does get confusing with 6 race categories. I'm making no apologies for that whatsoever, because we try and cover every category of racing here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's not just about the very elite riders, it's about people who are racing at all levels. And that's one of the great things. There's lots of racing. If you ride at sub 3 watts per kilo, then you can go out and race the sub 3 watts per kilo OTR racing on MyWhoosh. Now, one man who's not sub 3 watts per kilo is our rider from category 1, right-hand side of your screen, who was just attacked in the confusion that is leading groups and big groups coming together. The category 3, the big group of category 3 riders in the dark blue were met and caught by the category 1 riders, and we've seen an attack off the front by one of our category 1 riders trying to break clear. I suspect it will not stick, a bit like attacking the category 2 leaders, Nikolai Damsgaard, with Mr. X100, attacking repeatedly but not getting so much distance. No surprises, though. It's Michael Vink on the attacking category 1. He's the rider who used the opportunity to go clear. He's been caught by Knudsen. I'll be interested to see. It doesn't look to me like they've got much ground, though.
No, but Vink and Knudsen clear just 1 or 2 seconds. Andreasen is doing a massive pull at the moment. It's not necessarily a pull. It's more like a sprint to come over the top and close the gap down. Osborne there as well. But, you can see them. There they are. We're in with Sire Carradine, the Category 2 riders. Giselle Betty is with him as well. These 2 riders haven't been dropped off the Category 2 leading pack. And the reason we're with them is because Vink and Knudsen are 9 seconds behind. Take a look around the corner. Here come the leaders in the Category 1 race. And there's 3.
It's not that long ago that was 1 minute 10, not 10 seconds. It's coming down really, really quickly, and it's the power of Michael Vink who's leading them out, coming up towards Carradine, going to reach them just as they come over this bridge, over the rivers here in Colombia. And the pressure is well and truly on. It's going to be like standing on the platform as the train comes through, as this express train of Category 1 leaders, and then the chasers come through one after the other. Carradine feeling the pace, feeling the pressure. He will be back with us very shortly, I'm sure, back to his best as that Category 1 group comes through. I don't think anybody's been caught out by that. I've just seen line of Justin Joran Noren in there. So all the real key protagonists still in that Category 1 leading group. The Category 1 riders, the last out of the pens. They are the riders steadily making their way up the course. At the moment, though, the pressure is on. Leonard Chugall's trying to close down the gap on the front.
They are indeed, and the push is on. That Boss Moves Only squad absolutely dialing it today on the Sunday Race Club, making the most of the team, making the most of the conditions, and really, I think, practicing that teamwork for next week.
Interesting to see Michael Chugos. That's two riders composited into
You've
one.
just
That'd be a heck of
merged.
a rider.
You just
Leonard
merged two
Chugos.
riders.
Yeah, I did. Well, they're both very strong riders, but yes, Leonard Chugos. Interesting to see his results last week. Really were an indication. I mean, there was a snapshot on his pace and performance at the front of Category 1, and maybe a rider who historically has not been right at the fore, really mixing it up. Maybe as compared to somebody. Mistakes 100 at the moment.
Well, yeah, but I think Chugos came into the Sunday Race Club and he came in and, he made his presence felt very early on. He was very instrumental in the racing. He came into the top 10 very, very quickly and soon podiumed on the top 5, So
but
I think
then it was that step up. It was that getting into the top 3.
Well, yes, but he's done it, and he's done it strongly. And last week, it was great to see him make the moves with Vink and go clear, and he just couldn't hold onto the coattails of Michael Vink.
Which is no slight on anybody if you don't hold on to the coattails of Michael Vink. Is on the move again. Now, Category 1, Mistakes 100 on the move. Solander, Kurskia, as well as Howell, Quintero, Ika Morel in there. Ika's actually on a double weekend, I think, because I think he was mountain bike racing yesterday, I think. Could be wrong.
Sure, I think you were.
I'm sure I saw him racing.
Did you? I think there was a throwback.
Was it
social
really?
Media post, because I can tell you he was live coaching.
Was he live
yesterday.
coaching? I thought I heard his dulcet tones floating around one of the studios somewhere.
He was live coaching yesterday, and he's picking up the mantle for me tomorrow. So my normal 12 o'clock GMT live coaching session, we are going to be moving the studio next week, and hence no studio, no work. And Mr. Morel is covering my session Monday lunchtime, GMT.
So if you want to know what we're talking about, don't forget, MyWhoosh is more than just racing. It's social. There's social rides. There are challenges. There is the season pass. There is a garage full of goodies that you can get hold of. And of course, there is live coaching, both on demand, videos on demand, and live with the coach who talks back and will communicate with you.
Yes.
If you haven't heard enough of Emma's voice in your ears, you're not in the studio. No, sorry, I didn't say that. If you want to hear more of Emma's voice, then you can usually catch up with her coaching with MyWhoosh Live. You get to see the coach. You get to see how hard they're working at this when they're doing their training session. And of course, you get to chat with them as well on that communication platform. They do the same session. It's Elastic Banded. So even if you are there with Michael Vink and Leonard Chugels and you are not at their race level.
Stefan Van Elst turned up the other day.
And everybody stayed with him because it is banded together.
Of course, because that's what live coaching is all about. It's all about training together. So structured training, doing it in a group environment with added motivation and interaction.
So, left-hand side of your screen, Category 1 leaders. Right-hand side of your screen, Category 2 leader, just is Mistakes 100. He's about to get caught by Peter Belostic and co at the moment. And they do have a Category 1 rider mixed in with them or two as well, who have been distanced from the leading group. Interesting move on the front because these three riders, Chugels, Vink and Nutten, I think are just starting to make the distance now on the riders
it's about
behind.
12-13 seconds,
It's starting to be at a distance where I'd start to be worried. Although then, they're only, 29k into the race route of 50k.
Well, yes, but the flatlands are behind them. There are more flatlands to come, but then there is that final climb, being sat in with the group, reserving your energy for that final climb, which really is going to be instrumental in this racing today. A really good tactic.
Now, really interesting to see Nikolai Damsgaard on the attack here. He's a rider who today has definitely not been guarding his resources.
Has he not? He's been instrumental and off the front of the race.
He's been really, not aggressive, but definitely jumpy. He's a relatively new rider. Would you like me to tell you a little bit about him?
Well, I'll tell you something. They're on the Colombian bridges at the moment. I love these bridges. I actually really like going and using these courses for free rides in Colombia because you can ride around, attack a bridge, ride around, attack a bridge. Really great sort of fartlek training. I love it. Anyway, none of that today. They're racing.
Indeed. Now, Damsgaard's best result is actually a win on the Sunday Race Club in the finals in, I want to say, February. So it's not that long ago.
It's not.
He's only raced 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good job I didn't go over 10 and run out fingers and toes. 7 of the races by my reckoning at the moment on there, on my notes. In Category 2, his best result so far for Nikolai Damsgaard, I think, is 17th. So today, if he continues with this aggression, it may well be that he can provoke a bit of a break. If he can do that, it will assure him a better position overall. There's definitely more riders than that in that group at the moment behind, and maybe he doesn't want to leave it to that final climb. His 600 definitely doesn't. He's been moving very quickly. Oh, they're interesting to see Peter Milostic, another rider who's moving well. The Milostic family of riders riding very, very well at the moment. Not seen as much of Lyndon at the moment because at the moment his focus has switched to the road.
Yes.
Because he's a Southern Hemisphere rider and he's coming, I think, towards the end of
the
their
season.
Road season at the moment. So putting in a few performances. May well be chasing points just to get his license, an elite license at the end of the season.
Well, I expect to see Lyndon Milostic, once he reaches the age of 18, be hot on the trails of the Esports World Championship qualification pathway for November this year.
I can't imagine that he won't be. We're really looking forward to that. We'll be interested to see which of our riders from which categories, and it's not always just our Category 1 riders who are going to be in those qualifiers. Now, into the racing. We are here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. We're in with our categories, 6 categories out on the road. The riders who are furthest down the road are Category 6. They're on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, and they are on their way up on the climb. It's at 2% at the moment. Steady slopes as Emma's description. We're at 45.3k, and on those steady slopes, basically it's a dirty great climb, guys. It's Ricky Kittle leading out at the moment from John back 3 seconds a gap at the moment. Then it's Sensing, Hofbeck and Co. If you're used to the old course, this is the climb, the old Colombian course, the Paso Alto. This is the first climb of the 2.
It is indeed, and the average gradient is 6%. The early slopes, sub 5%, 3, 4%, 400 few hundred metres before it starts to move into the kicks. And those kicks, as they go up, there's some really steep sections on there, are just over 9% in places. But it's not the type of climb that the women saw today, where it was 12, 13, nearly 14%. So it is all relative. Well, relatively at the moment, Ricky Kittle is doing actually he's not relative. Ricky Kittle is doing a sterling job at the moment in Category 6. At the head of the race, he's the leader on the road at the moment. Mendakowicz doing a sterling job in Category 2, actually. He's 5 seconds clear of the group, and it is strung out at the moment. So Maciej Mendakowicz putting in a big effort here in Category 2. SS leading the charge behind at 5 seconds. You can see him there in the picture. You can see the huge chasing group. I need a drum roll. Chasing him down behind. And there it is. They are not picking up the pace at the moment, though Simon Walton now coming onto the front of the group, and he's putting in a huge dig to try and go across. Is anybody going to go with him? Is he going to tow the group, or is it going to be a small group of riders at the front of the pack and a big chasing group behind? Nope. The action is now on the front, and they are all moving in Category 2.
Simon Walter is an interesting rider.
Simon Walter is a great rider.
I don't disagree for a second, but a rider who I'm really interested to see what he does on this course. I think it's one of those courses where time after time, riders come to this thinking it's going to be steady away than a big kick, and it isn't, because everybody has that same sort of let's go early, oh, there's a chance to break it up. And you've got people like Mendakowicz who wants a hard race. He's going for it already.
Yes, he is. And you're right. He does like Maciej Mendakowicz does like a hard race and is obviously he's creating it at the moment, but he regularly creates the action in category 2. Just going through the Wax Palm sprint at the 35-kilometer marker. But the chase is on behind. So Mendakowicz is being followed by SS, is being followed by Walter. And look at them all now scrabbling to come through. They've gone through the sprint. They're looking at the fast time through the sprint. That sprint competition at the moment sat on Fournier's back. You can see there the green skin suit rather than the green jersey. But they are all now sitting up here that sprint is over. The question is, what is going on with Mendakowicz at the front? Is he continuing to push? I think the answer is yes. The rest of the group now swarm over the top. I think the pace is on, and I think this is going to come back together again.
I'm just going to dive back to Simon Walter, if I may.
Yes.
Thank you. Would you be surprised to know that he's had a 4th and a 5th? Those are his best positions in category 2. I would have thought he had taken a podium top 3 because he's been so strong and really instrumental in the races. I'd be very interested to see how he goes on.
Well, can I just interject here? Because I'll tell you who is going on at the moment, and that's Lennart Tugels. So Vink has sat up from the leading 3. So it was Tugels, Knudsen and Vink. Vink has sat up. Tugels and Knudsen are left out front. Vink is sort of manning the intermediate ground between the two escapees and the chasing group. Hayden Pucker coming in hard behind with Van Elst, Wu, Andreasen, Pedersen, all in there. But is Michael Vink now trying to create the space for Knudsen and Tugels to go away?
Well, I think Pucker was trying to go for the sprint there.
Well, I think Pucker was going for the sprint, but my question is Vink now creating the space for Knudsen and Tugels to go away? And is he setting his teammate up, Knudsen, who took the climbing competition last week, for the win today to go head-to-head with Tugels?
I'm only going because I think it's not very clear cut, is it? I mean, Tugels on form. Michael Knudsen's good to see him back up at the front, near the front of the racing. Michael Vink, I do wonder whether he just took a little bit of a pause to maybe just at the wrong moment. It could be something as simple as eating on the bike and just refueling and it going slightly wrong. You know, I was out riding last week and I was eating a marshmallow Rice Krispie bar and breathed at the wrong moment whilst trying to go uphill, whilst trying to eat this Rice Krispie bar and breathe Rice Krispie bar, and that's enough to lose the wheel.
It's not a nice thought.
It's not a nice thought, but you only need one of those. You know, you just don't refuel. Just you take the drink wrong, you drop the bottle. You know, any of those things can happen, and then that causes a problem, and you lose time. You can't do that at a critical moment.
Well, can I tell you,
whether that's in the sprint, an attack, or
what
is
a critical moment is the fact that Category 5 have just gone over the top of the leaders in category, the leading chase group in Category 6. So at the 4 of the race at the moment, Ricky Kittle is continuing to extend his lead in that Category 6 race. John Back is chasing. Hofbeck is there as well as Sensing. But then Brian White and Mukhtari and Cirillo are leading the charge in Category 5. All of this is playing itself out on the final climb today.
Good to see White in action as well, leading that charge at the moment in Category 5. But this is a really good battle here between Ricky Kittle, John Back, Christian Hofbeck and Brett Sensing are 30 seconds down. Kittle and Back really here for me. This is the battle for the top 2. We're at 47.3k. So we still have 5 kilometers to go, but 3 kilometers to go. But even so, I don't think it's going to come down. I can't see that coming back at the moment. Kittle's potentially there for the win. Now, Category 2.
Who has come back?
It is. Look at this. The left-hand side, he's back. Michael Vink is back, and he's back on the front, actually, and on his way through. So 3 riders back on the front of Category 1 on the left-hand side of your screen. Right-hand side of your screen, Sir Nikolai Damsgaard and Maciej Mendakowicz at the front of Category 2. They are still in front of this leading group of Category 1, but I'm not sure for how long the way they're riding at the moment.
Well, Ryan Duma here in Category 3. He's the next rider who is going to see, well, actually, after the sprint leader in Category 2, the charging trio that is the head of the Category 1 race. And if you look back into the distance, well, it is very distant, and you cannot see At the moment, the chase group in category 1, if you look up on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see them just there on the screen. The 3 leaders here just having gone past Fournier and the category 3 rider, Duma. You can see that that's the leading group on that top right-hand graphic. The chase group is behind, but on our screen at the moment, as we're in the cabins here, it's Tugels, Vink and Knudsen. Now, it was Vink, Tugels and Osborne last week who were the 1, 2, 3. Will Vink take the win? Will Tugels take second? Will Knudsen take third? Or will that order be different?
It'll be different.
Oh, strong words.
It was a guess. Total guess. Well, the problem with I think any prediction on this course is so difficult. Now, one thing you can predict is that when we go through the sprint riders, we'll be looking to take away those sprint prizes for the segment and to add to their points in the overall sprints competition, particularly on a race route like this where we have 4 sprints. The last sprint at 39.2k, so plenty of time to get some recovery in before you hit that final climb at the 44.9 kilometre marker. Martin Wozniak, the rider who has got that green skin suit, courtesy of that last sprint in category 2. They're just out the other side of the tunnels. Category 1, they're in the tunnel at the moment, and they can see daylight at the moment as they come back out here. So category 1 leaders are absolutely motoring. Michael Vink, Leonard Tugels and Michael Knudsen. 2 Michaels and Leonard at the front of the race. Will they be the same 3 when we get to the end of the race? We'll have to see. Let's jump in with category 5. Brian White this month has had a great month so far. He's had a great couple of rides here in March. 3rd last week, 1st the week before, I think it was. It's certainly been absolutely flying. He's a strong rider. I'm wondering whether he's going to take away a top spot here today. I would dearly love him to take away a win on the Sunday Race Club, because I think it would be just rewards for somebody who has been putting in a lot of time into the racing.
Well, yeah, a lot of people are putting a lot of time into the racing at the Monpok City Sprint. Nicolas Fournier tops the table at the moment from category 2 with that effort at 14.1 watts per kilo, 12.151 seconds. Andre Diduch in category 3, setting the 2nd fastest time. Then Mortek in category 5 alongside Cirillo and Fossid. Duma category 3, Becker category 3. Oh, Wozniak category 2 in 8th spot. Interesting to see that category 1 pack not in the mix, I'm going to say, at the moment.
And got to say congratulations to Nicolas Fournier, because Fournier took the win in 3 out of the 4 sprints.
Yeah.
Not just in category 2
overall,
but he's got the fastest time of all the riders in 3 of the sprints, full stop. Great sprinting, great riding by the Frenchman to take those 3 top spots. And by my reckoning, I think he should have that sprint competition sewn up in category 2, but he will have to get to that finishing line for that to be confirmed. Now, taking a look at our screens, left-hand side of the screen, category 1 leader, 40.6k, closing in on our riders in category 2. Category 2 at the moment being led by Mr. X100 with Phil Graves, Massive and Dakowitz chasing right behind him. And this camera pans back. It's not going to have to pan back far to see this big bunch, and here they come. They're on the way in through town, 41.8k covered. And you've got to wonder, how long do you leave it to have a break before you hit the climb? Do you take a breather, or do you charge from here into that climb and up to our finish? Don't shake your head, it didn't work.
Well, you know, I was after being 10 words instead of 3, I was being no words at all.
Indeed, minimalistic.
Yes, I was trying.
Somewhat Spartan in the vocabulary.
It didn't work, but Mendakowitz, Graves and X100 here on the screen, and you can see they're rolling and rolling strongly at the moment. The pack now coming all back together. We just dropped 1 rider off the back of the group, and you can see that as they just come around the corner on the top right-hand corner of your screen. I get confused. It used to be on the bottom left. It's now on the top right. We're all getting used to the new update, but these riders, I tell you something, are loving it. And at the moment. This Category 2 pack are drafting like demons as they continue to roll at 40 kilometres an hour. They're at the 42.5 kilometre marker. They've got to get to that 50.3 kilometre banner on the left-hand side of your screen. It's Tugels, Vink and Knudsen, and they are still locked together.
So that is the battle a little bit further back down the course. We're on to the climb with our leader on the road on the right of your screen. Leading Category 6, that's John Back, who has the gap. He's gone over the top of Ricky Kittle and gone 6 seconds to the good with very little distance left to get to on race finish. That Back-Kittle battle has reversed with Back in front of Kittle. Brian White on the left of your screens is the nearest rider to them. He's leading Category 5. But behind him, Ortiz and Gaviria, Cirillo and Mokhtari are separated by a matter of a few seconds, whereas White has 20 seconds on his nearest challenger. So at the moment, it may well be a case of alio jecta est, yes, my favourite phrase. In Latin, the die is cast. So by Caesar, when he crossed the Rubicon on his return to Rome. Allegedly.
Yes, you weren't there.
I might be old. I'm not old.
You see, I have to say, that is the thing with history. It's just theoretical because unless you can actually be there.
Well, maybe somebody wrote it down at the time.
Yeah, but you just their perception of it, isn't it? It's not necessarily the truth. It's just one individual's words. We all know what happens when many individuals write about the same story.
Well, at the moment, the story they're going to be writing is that Ricky Kittle and John Back are playing with places. And at the moment, Ricky Kittle is a Back in front of Back.
Kittle is Back. No, Back is Kittle. No, Kittle is ahead of Back.
It's, to use one of the famous commentator phrases, it's Coleman balls.
It's what?
Coleman balls. It is David Coleman, legendary commentator on football. And a Coleman ball was when you said something that actually made sense but didn't make sense.
Okay, well, making sense at the moment is Brian White's attacking Category 5. Clinton Dave Cirillo is the rider 17 seconds back. In fact, he's got company because Ortiz is there and Anderson. But White is moving on. He's got John Back in his sights. Kittle is now 7 seconds clear up past the...
The yo-yoing.
Waterfall. They are.
I'm loving the time gaps and the changes here. Brian White, though, continues to tap out a rhythm. He's still staying 18 seconds to Anderson, Cirillo, Ortiz, Gaviria, and co. Big group of riders behind. It's not just those 3 or 4. You can see that on your screen. Top right-hand side, there is a long stream of blue jerseys coming up on our 2 leaders. But it's Brian White who moves on to the wheel of John Back. They're not going to close down Ricky Kittle, who is the first rider who sees the polka dot banner. This is the end of the climb segment. We've not far to go now. Remember that the end of this race is at 50.3K. It's 500 meters further up the road, and it is all uphill as White has got Kittle in his sights here. The 2 skin suit wearers in that polka dot skin suit in Category 5. Brian White just in front of the rider we're in with. Here he is. This is Brian White trying to close down on Ricky Kittle before they get to the finishing line. He's on some serious pace at the moment. Can Kittle hold him off? Kittle has responded, and he's kicking on. And he's got to be careful he doesn't get dragged into this. We're in with John Back at the moment. Come on, John. He's pushing here. He's top 3 overall. He's got Anderson coming up behind him. He's holding second place in the race. He knows the man he wants is Kittle in front. Come on, John. Dig in deep now. This is the last bit. This is the big push. That finish line is coming, and it's coming quick. Will it come quick enough? Can he get back Kittle? Here come the chasers in Category 5. They're chasing our leader. And that's Brian White. But White now heading up towards the back wheel of Kittle. The 2 climb winners are on the front, and Back is jumping onto the wheels here. You can see the revs go up. You can see how hard he's working. They're on the left of your screen, but time is running out because the race leader is Ricky Kittle. The fastest Category 6 climber here today is going to take away victory in Category 6. Can he hold off Category 5 to the line? I think he's going to do it. Ricky Kittle is going to come in and across the line. The Category 6 race winner is Ricky Kittle on qualifier race number 4 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club.
Brian White comes in Category 5 to take the win, and there you go, goes over the top. The race was fast and furious in Category 5. Brian White, well, it was Anderson and then Ortiz rounding out the top three. Carrillo comes in for 4th place.
And in Category 6, Ricky Kittle taking that race win from John Back. John Back holding on to take 2nd place in Category 6. Category 5 riders continue to stream in, but we are in with our Category 4 leader, Ole Solar, at the moment. And Solar really has stretched out the lead he's got on the rest of the races. In Category 4, you can see he's got that skin suit as the fastest climber at the moment, but can he hold on to the finish? I think this is going to be his for the taking at the moment. He's only raced, I think it's a handful, 3 races on the Sunday Race Club. He is ahead at the moment of Luke Allport, who is chasing hard here behind. So it's Allport, Roy of Demanuan chasing hard. Luke Allport out of the saddle, stamping down on those pedals. Solar, though, I think is surely going to take this. He had the gap. Can he hold clear of the chasers behind? Allport is giving it everything on his way in towards the finish. Allport would dearly love to be on that podium. Time is running out as the leader comes up. Ole Solar, his best result. He takes his first win on the Sunday Race Club in Category 4. He adds the yellow skin suit to the polka dot skin suit. 2 category wins for Solar behind. The battle is underway and it's completed in the favour of Luke Allport. He takes 2nd place with Oroyev in 3rd.
He does indeed, and great effort, and great to see Luke Allport back in the top 3.
Welcome back, Luke.
Yay.
Yeah.
He's all ported his way back to the top. I couldn't resist it. I couldn't resist it.
Allport is a verb to move off the front of a bunch or to accelerate clear of the main group.
You won't find it in any dictionary.
Apart from the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club dictionary, where it is indeed a dictionary of note of cycling and dedicated MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club phrases. Whittling is amongst them.
Well, I'll tell you something, and Tugels, Vink and Knudsen, they are still together. X100 is on the right-hand side of your screen as well in Category 2, and Michael Vink, well, that's another sprint I've just seen.
He has indeed sprinted, and they are still responding. Has he got enough to break clear? We're jumping across to Category 3 now, because our Category 3 leader, Camille Davis, is on his way up here. He's the rider in blue. Immediately behind him, it looks like Rama is there as well. I'm just going to take a little bit of a check up in front. Can't see anybody else in front, so it's looking to me like Kowalski is on his way up here. He's onto the wheel of Danes. Danes and Kowalski are side by side. Kowalski goes over the top. Behind them, Godzaris is going to try and come and move over the top of Danes. Danes went hard. He went early. Kowalski went over the top. David Kowalski takes the win in Category 3 from Godzaris. And then I think it is going to be Danes. We're just going to have a double check of that. Kowalski in 1. It is Goddazi in 2. Danes in 3. Trzynski, I think it's going to be in 4. Betts, 5th place.
Well, I tell you who's not in 5th place, and that's Michael Vink. He's put the dig in at the moment, and the dig is sticking. Tugel's desperately trying to hang on at the moment at 3 seconds, but, well, the mic is dropped.
The mic is dropped indeed. Michael Vink has left the building. He's left Leonard Tugels. The gap is currently 4 seconds. They're going to be coming up on the wheels of Che Howala and Masit Mendekowicz. In fact, here he comes. The Vinkinator is on his way up. I'll be back every single time it goes uphill. He goes to the front. He's attacking here. Che Howala might not see him in his pain cave, but he can see him on his screen. And Michael Vink at the moment looking like he is just on serious form, disappearing off up the road. Good to see Che. You can see just how hard this climb is, the effort that goes into climbing on here. Category 2 group is still a big whole bunch in that group there, as we see Leonard Tugels back in with Category 1, our elite category, chasing Michael Vink. Vink versus Tugels. What a battle. They are separated 4 seconds. It is not all over yet.
It isn't. It definitely is not over yet. The battle between Vink and Tugels on the left-hand side of your screen. On the right-hand side of your screen, it is the group that is the leaders of Category 2. And I'll tell you something, there's less than 100 meters separating Vink from that pack. Michael Vink is about to go onto the back wheel of Christoph Thiem, Jakob Bjorklund, Peter Millerstick. He is going to see the names, the who's who in Category 2. Tugels is coming onto the back of the group now. 4 seconds separating him still from Michael Vink. Who's going to take any motivation from the group? Knudsen is at 8 seconds. The Category 1 pack are way further back. Anika Morel in Category 2 has just seen Michael Vink go past.
Anika Morel, of course, one of the coaches on the MyWhoosh coaching, and all those kilometres hopefully have added up to his response here, because he's going after Tugels at the moment. He's making the most of that motivation, and he's not losing much ground here to Leonard Tugels, a man who's absolutely at the top of cycling esports at the moment. Morel has his own battle, though, he needs to concentrate on, because he's got Bjorklund and Thiem with him as well. Left-hand side of your screen, you can see we are currently in with Leonard Tugels. We are chasing Michael Vink in with Leonard Tugels at the moment, but Vink is at the front of that group, and you can see him on the right-hand side of your screen, right at the front of the group as Tugels makes contact at the back. This is where Tugels can get the draft. Can he use it to his advantage? This is the key tactical moment for me. Make the most of the fast sections. Make the most when you get the draft and really sprint through. Use it as a force multiplier. Use it as a way to really accelerate up. Tugels needs to get across to Vink. Vink, though, is ridden all of Category 2, apart from Matthias Van Heet, off his wheel.
Oh, surprise, surprise. Matthias Van Heet has dug in and tried to glue himself to Michael Vink's back wheel. Never be surprised from Matthias Van Heet.
That's a Category 2 winning move if you can sit with Michael Vink, but it has been a response that has come. Miller, Catazano, Mistakes 100 and SS have all responded. They're all within a fraction of seconds to Van Heet. Van Heet, though, holding that wheel of Vink at the moment with some style, and you can see the scramble as Vink continues to push here. Vink at the moment leading in Category 1. It's then Van Heet immediately behind, leading in Category 2. SS is in here, and honourable mentions to Nicholas Becker of Category 3. He's also managing to hold on to the wheels of this group. Such is the advantage. If you can get in the draft, it's going to help. But look at the numbers going down as they chase Michael Vink.
Well, they do indeed, and they are desperately scrabbling to stay on his back wheel. Vink continuing to move. Van Heet, SS, Khan Cahen is in the mix. He's been riding really strongly, has Cahen recently. Great to see Stuart Miller there. X100. Scott Cantazzaro is in the mix as well, the rider from the USA. But Vink is leading the charge. Van Heet comes up, not content with sitting on the rear wheel of Michael Vink. Matthias Van Heet just decided, I'm just going to come alongside, see if I can give him a glance, see how he's looking. Oh, no, maybe I'll just go sit back behind him.
Are you mad, Matthias?
Yes.
Get on his back wheel.
Not mad.
Don't stick your nose out in front of Michael Vink. Get in behind. Get as little as you can and hide as much as you can. Somebody who capitalised on hiding behind people for as long as possible in races. On every single race I think I race pretty much. I'm definitely going to advise that as the tactic when you've got a rider of the class of Vink. Meanwhile, Miss H100 has moved up into the mixing Category 2. The leaders in Category 2 just about holding on to our leader in Category 1. That is Michael Vink. I've been looking for the time gap back to Tugels, but I think that elastic is... it's not.
It's not a lot.
It's not huge. It's still there. Tugles is holding a handful of seconds.
Yeah, I think the chasing pack are coming in hard on Michael Knudsen. But Tugles is not far back. I think he's around 5 seconds, maybe 6 seconds off of Vink. So the gap is going out, but he's trying to hold it. He's trying to manage the effort. He's at 49.6 kilometres. It's 50.3. It is not far to go yet, but he's got to be managing that effort. If he's not going to catch Michael Vink and he's not going to push on now, he's got to manage the effort to stay in second place today.
Well, Michael Vink is leading. I was just keeping a little bit of a check of how many races Michael Vink has ridden, how many races he's won on MyWhoosh. And I can tell you, I can't tell you. And one of the reasons for that is that Michael Vink has been winning on Sunday Race Club, to my knowledge, before records began. That is when we were a Friday Race Club. In fact, he was still winning on the Sunday Race Club. That is how far back into the dim, distant history of MyWhoosh you have to go to work out how far it is. One day somebody's going to add them all up. He's absolutely flying up the front here. Behind him, the Category 2 riders are chasing.
Oh,
You can see on your screen the climb points. Michael Vink, the fastest time from Tugles from Knudsen, and it gives you an indication just on the climb alone. Vink has put 18 seconds on the climb alone into Tugles and 26 seconds in to Knudsen. Great ride by Van He. He goes through as the fastest climber in Category 2, and he's less than a minute slower than Category 1 leader
Okay,
Vink.
so these results are live at the moment. Michael Vink setting the fastest time. Tugles has not set the second fastest time. Marshall Wu has now come through, climbing strongly. Syed Safrazadi, Stefan Van Elst have all slotted in between Michael Vink and Leonard Tugles. Johan Noren putting in a storming time as well.
So it's not all over yet in Category 2. Category 1, Michael Vink, I think, is about to hit the line here. He is. Michael Vink, the Vinkinator, does it again. Winning on MyWhoosh, taking the climb prize and the overall. As behind him, the sprint is on for the line. Sebastian Habo, I think, just taking the win in Category 2 from Matthias Van He, but I'm going to have to get that confirmed.
Anders Bengston snuck in.
Wow. Bengston taking the win from Havo, separated by 0.2 of a second. Now, Marshall Wu on his way into the line. This is going to be for a 4th place in Category 1. He gets out of the saddle to sprint in ahead of Syed Safrazadi and Stefan Van Elst. This is exalted company for Wu at the front of the race. Kaminsky and Vujasin fight their way up to the line. Vink, Tugles, Knudsen, Wu, Safrazadi, Van Elst, Vujasin. They are the top 7 riders on our screens so far, with 8th place being taken by Mikhail Kaminsky. You can see them on your screen. You can see those time gaps. Vink, though, unstoppable.
Well, he was, but Tugles tried again, and he gave a really good effort today. 9.5 seconds back in the end from Michael Vink was indeed Leonard Tugles taking second place today. Michael Knudsen, great ride from him, coming through for 3rd. Marshall Wu moves up. Last week he was 5th. This week, he's 4th. He's had a great start to Sunday Race Club racing. Syed Safrazadi moving strongly as well. That makes 3 riders from the Boss Moves Only squad in the top 5. They have got to be the favourites for the team competition next week. Stefan Van Elst in 6th. Lanovu Yassin in 7th. Mikhail Kaminsky in 8th. 9th, Johan Noren. I said he had a good climb. And Niall Pedersen in 10th.
So they're your top 10, the full results on mywhoosh.com/results. Make sure when you're on there, you download the latest version of MyWhoosh and come and join us in April for the Sunday Race Club. Why have I not said next week? Because next week is our finals and you have got to have 2 qualified rides in to be there. The team competition will be taking place. Next week is my 3rd year complete with MyWhoosh covering the racing. My name is Matt Payne. I'm here with Emma Martin, who's been here fractionally less. You can see also our hosts here, Abdul and Robert, who host the Arabic channels. All of the teams are here bringing you Arabic commentary and bringing you the English commentary for the MyWhoosh Sunday Race. So we are here putting the cherry on top of a cake that is provided to you by the amazing broadcast team who I have had the pleasure of working with for so long. They are in the background. You don't get to see them, you don't get to hear them, but they make all this possible, along with the team at MyWhoosh who put together the racing and the whole of the MyWhoosh experience. So a big thank you to them. We will be back next week from a slightly different studio to the one we're in. So for the very last time from the old beer cellar studios, I'm quite sad. Stay safe. We'll see you again next week somewhere different.
Goodbye.